What's up, my Century Units? It's the Sentiment here, so back again with another classic WWE pay-per-view review. I don't call this show a true classic WWE pay-per-view anyway, so I'm reviewing WWE PayBack 2016, the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania 32. So this show was at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois on the 1st of May 2016. The attendance of the show was 13,250. No pay-per-view buy rate for this show because we're in the post pay-per-view buy rate era of WWE. The last payback show of 2015 was the last payback show with pay-per-view buys. It's just what it is. I don't want to get into it. So the commentators for this show are Michael Cole, JBL, and Byron Saxton. This is the first pay-per-view of the new era. I'm going to address two elephants in the room. First off, the name New Era. At the time, it didn't mean anything, in the spring of 2016 or early summer of 2016. Later on in the year, it kind of means something because of the brand split, kicked off, you had new talent, new championships, that was like, later on in the year. But in the spring and the early summer of 2016, it didn't mean anything. It's similar to like Triple H, keep calling it the reality era. It's just a load of PR BS. Anyway, that was the first elephant in the room. The second elephant in the room is the poster. The Wyatt family not on the show. Bray Wyatt, the late Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman originally were supposed to face the League of Nations on this show, but the match is never going to happen because, when WWE toured around Europe, Bray suffered an injury. I think he suffered an injury to his right calf, and the League of Nations was disbanded 1 week before the show. The League of Nations, if you don't know, it's a crap faction. It started in late 2015 and ended in the spring of 2016. It's a group of Sheamus, King Barrett, Rusev, and Alberto Del Rio. It was shit, and yeah, like I said, a week before the show, the League of Nations, got disbanded. It's on its last leg. It's a shame we never got to see this match, League of Nations versus the Wyatt family. I think the Wyatts would win. There were the baby faces. The League of Nations are the heels. The Wyatt came back, later on in the year. I think in the summertime, feuding with the New Day. In that, I think they were ripping off the final deletion match. That's another story for another time. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about one segment before we get to the matches on the show. So anyway, this segment was shit. It'll be in the bag when I get to my overall thoughts, ratings of the show. This revolves around the McMahons, Vince, Shane, and Stephanie, who is going to be the the solo owner of Monday Night Raw. This is before the brand split, the second brand split kicked off. Anyway, so the fans were cheering at Vince, and then they boo at Stephanie. They're booing Stephanie out of the building. Stephanie on the show, she at this moment in time she was getting like a lot of go away heat. She was on the show, on this segment. She was rambling on her promo. Not get to the point. She was bragging. Brings up like Shane lost to The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania the previous month, brings up the Authority, brought a lot of talent and subscribers to the network, and also, but before we get more of this segment on this pay-per-view, the fans were chanting CM Punk because at this moment in time, I'm glad they stopped chanting his name because at the time it was annoying. It's got to be one of the most annoying chants than "This is awesome." But because Punk at this moment in time, it's been 2 years since Punk walked out of the company. It's funny, like in our current timeline in 2023, there's rumors like Punk coming back to AEW. That's another story for another time. Anyway, so like I said, Stephanie was booed, Shane was cheered. The segment for me it dragged off way too long. I don't know how many minutes. Felt like half an hour. I said in previous pay-per-view reviews, doing segments on pay-per-views just simply do not work, because this segment came across a segment you probably see on Monday Night Raw. You know, like it didn't really serve a purpose. Because like if you want, just save it on weekly TV shows. Wrestling pay-per-views are designed for the matches themselves. Like, the matches take the center stage than the segments on the show, because you don't see a lot of segments on pay-per-views. It's just the matches. It's designed as a live action reel. Instead of like doing a lot of matches segments. You know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, it kind of drags. Shane got a good pop. Yeah, the fans, yeah, they were booing at Stephanie. Vince told the fans to shut up. Yeah, he has to, because it's his daughter. Anyway, so Shane got cheered. There's one funny segment or funny moment of this segment. Like Shane placed his hand above Stephanie's head. Fans booed. And then he placed his hand above his own head. They cheered, and then Vince trying to do the same thing, place his hand above his head. He didn't got booed the same as Stephanie, but he still got booed. And also there were signs on the show, in this segment, like there was a cutout head of Colt Cabana. There was a sign. There was a fan not wearing, but holding a picture of Stephanie's face on it. It says, "I'm not with her." That was kind of funny. Anyway, let's end this segment to talk about. So Vince announced that Shane and Stephanie are the co-owners of Monday Night Raw. The fans kind of booed, not heavily, but they're kind of disappointed. They just want to see Shane as the sole owner of Monday Night Raw, but it's just what it is. So in the end, Shane and Stephanie kind of shake hands, and that was it. This whole experiment of Shane and Stephanie, running Monday Night Raw, there's rumors at the time. I never knew this. They were teasing like they're gonna do Shane Triple H at SummerSlam. Unfortunately, that's never gonna happen. Because Triple H, because this was I think it's Stephanie's first appearance since WrestleMania 32 the previous month, after he got speared by Roman Reigns. Anyway, but you won't see Triple H again until I think it was August or September time. Planting the seeds of the Triple H Rollins feud going into WrestleMania 33 the following year. Anyway, so yeah, the experiment of Shane and Stephanie as co-owners of Monday Night Raw, it lasted about 2-3 months, and then when the brand split kicked off, both Shane and Stephanie are the commissioners of both Raw and SmackDown. That was a lot of BS, doing GMs and commissioners. Why could just have Shane and Stephanie being GMs of both Raw and SmackDown? That's just me. But yeah, this segment didn't really serve a purpose, like I said, save it on Raw. Don't put this on a pay-per-view, because people want to see the wrestling itself, the matches, not just the segments, like I said. Pay-per-view segments on pay-per-views or wrestling pay-per-views just simply do not work. Save it on weekly wrestling TV shows. Like I said, they're designed for the wrestling matches take center stage. It's a live action reel. It's just what it is. So yeah, it didn't really serve a purpose. The only bright spot of this segment is Shane. Like I said, placing his hand above Stephanie's head. And place his own hand above his own head. It's basically playing along with the fans. It's just what it is. Anyway, so let's talk about the matches on the show. We're going to start with the pre-show matches to kick off this pay-per-view, because at the time it was the matches start with kick-off show matches or pre-show matches, whatever you call them. I'm glad they stopped doing pre-show matches. They don't really serve a purpose. It's just waiting until the actual show kicked off. Anyway, so the first match of the pre-show, we got Baron Corbin taking on Dolph Ziggler. This is Baron Corbin's second pay-per-view appearance. He made his debut on the main roster at WrestleMania 32 when he won the 2016 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. His first rivalry on the main roster, it was against Dolph Ziggler. I feel on the Go Home Raw, he beat down. I think it was a match. I think it was a match. That ended like a double count out. beat down Ziggler, hits Ziggler with the End of Days. Yeah, you could say this was Corbin's first one-on-one match, a pay-per-view match on the main roster. Even though this is his second match because he pitted it, like I say, pitted in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania the previous month. So you could say this is his first one-on-one pay-per-view match on the main roster. Ziggler at this moment in time, you could tell that he was Shawn Michaels 2.0. I think it was 2015, 2016 that he started doing the whole Shawn Michaels stuff, or Rip trying to imitate Shawn Michaels doing the super kick. Great example on this match. He's wearing like similar custom version of Shawn Michaels. If you watch a Shawn Michaels match in the 90s and early 2000s, he has the love hearts on his tights. Ziggler has his logo on his. He's wearing tights at this moment in time, not his trunks. It reminds me of Shawn Michaels. He had DC on his tights. I understand why, because I think he's one of his heroes growing up as a fan before becoming a professional wrestler. But besides that, it just reminds us Shawn Michaels, not Dolph Ziggler. I like him as the show off. Anyway, so the match was meh. I think it was mediocre. Corbin at this moment in time, he was the lone wolf. He was very bland and vanilla in his early run. It's funny in later years, you can tell he put a lot of like personality and charisma in future characters of Baron Corbin, even though in later years he still got like a lot, because in later years he ended up having like go to weight heat, like X-Pac heat, like he does get heat, but those heats are go away heat, when he was a Constable Corbin, Raw GM Corbin, King Corbin, Happy Corbin. Now he's trying to be like the next wrestling god, have JBL as his mentor. Anyways, you could tell like you could tell like he find his character, you could tell he has more of his personality and charisma in his mic skills, kind of improve compared in 2016, even though I'm not a big fan of Corbin, But back in 2016, he was a bit bland, he came out with you had the motorcycle engine, and that was it, Even though you cannot if you watch Breaking Ground, what's it called? Breaking Ground. That's the documentary, not the it's called Breaking Ground. It was basically it's a behind the scene documentary featuring wrestlers from NXT. Featured Baron Corbin. He was driving Harleys, because you could tell he was like outside wrestling. He's driving motorcycles, Before that, he was a boxer. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm trying to get my points across. So, let's move. There's nothing much to talk about this match, which is kind of meh. In the end, it's strength versus agility. In the end, Ziggler rolled up Baron Corbin for the win, and that was Baron Corbin's first loss on the main roster. He kind of recover in later years. United States champion. I think that's the only title he won so far in his career. Anyway, so the rivalry between Ziggler and Corbin lasts about a month and a half. Before at the following month's kickoff show, pay-per-view, Extreme Rules, and then before at Money in the Bank, and that was the end. Anyway, it's really I think they kind of it's funny they reunite years later. It was brief. Anyway, let's move on to the next match. Anyway, the next match, this is first of 4 championship matches on the show, and this is for the United States Championship. Kalisto defending the belt against Ryback. This is the rematch from WrestleMania 32, and that was also on the kickoff show. Anyway, the match was okay. It was a bit better than the Corbin Ziggler match. One more of the match, Ryback kind of gorilla press Kalisto off the top rope. In the end, Kalisto hit the Selena Del Sol onto Ryback to win this match and retain the United States title. The match was, I would say, it was an okay match. It wasn't terrible. It's not going to be like a banger. And sadly, this was Ryback's final pay-per-view match in the company because he get released later on in the year in August. And I feel sorry for Ryback because I'm not trying to ramble. I'm trying to keep it short and simple. It's a shame for Ryback. It's funny, he's been in the company about 6 years because he was Skip Sheffield. That was his original ring name before becoming Ryback. He was Skip Sheffield, part of the first series of NXT. Then he was part of Nexus. Then he got injured, ran off due to an injury. And then he came back 2 years later as Ryback. That was really his high point in his career. And then they really dropped the ball with Ryback. I think Ryback was very marketable. And for 4 years, he was in that world title pursuit and never pulled the trigger. So I feel sorry for Ryback. What might have been. And also Ryback said in his YouTube channel that it might be one of his reasons why he left the company, because his shoulder was messed up. The doctors the day that he gave him some medication for his shoulder, but unfortunately it's kind of eating the muscle on his shoulder. That's one of the. It's not the reasons that he left. It's one of the reasons that he's left. I don't want to get into it, so it's a shame. Yeah, he did. He had wrestled on the indie scene. Great example. You can find it on YouTube. He fought against Brian Cage. But besides that, he's not really wrestling that much. He's on his YouTube channel. I recently subscribed. Go and check out Ryback TV. And also, yeah, he was a crybaby behind the scenes. He said he wants to squash AJ Styles. At WrestleMania. That's a lot of bullshit. You could tell he was a bit of an asshole, but at the same time, he's a bit frustrated because they had a big plans for him, and they don't know what they do to him. Are they going to truly push him to becoming a big star or not? It's just what it is. So, anyway, let's move on to matches on the main show. So the first match to kick off the main show of Payback 2016. This is in the finals of the WWE Tag Team Championship Tournament. Before that, you had the New Day not wrestling on the show. They kind of watching the opening match. They kind of like the fans cheering. They were doing their shtick. Biggie says this is the new era because he did New Day rocks. You can tell the fans were really get behind the New Day. New Day's in the middle of their longest reign as the WWE Tag Team Champions. They went on to break the record at the end of the year. That's another story for another time. That was at I think it was a week before the Roblox pay-per-view. Anyway, so. And I think then Xavier Woods said to I think he said it towards Beyonce, about you can catch me up on Instagram or Twitter, Xavier Woods PSD. Anyway, so yeah, the first match to, like I said, kick off the main show of Payback 2016. Yeah, it's the this is a no one contender. This is the finals of the WWE Tag Team Championship Tournament. Oh, no one contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. That'll be at Extreme Rules. We got Enzo and Cass, their first pay-per-view match on the main roster, taking on another tag team, also making their pay-per-view appearance on appearance on the main roster. The Vaudevillains also made their debut, just called up to the main roster from NXT. So, yeah, they're in the finals of the the number one contendership for the WWE Tag Team Championship. So, winner face the New Day at Extreme Rules. Enzo and Cass was also, like the New Day, white hot at the time. Anyway, like I said, going back, Vaudevillains, this is also, like I said, I'm going to say it again, and yeah, Enzo and Cass, Vaudevillains, this is technically their first pay-per-view match since get called up on the main roster. They're kind of like, you could say they're kind of over in NXT at the time with their gimmicks. I think like Enzo and Cass, they're kind of like they're from New York. I think they're from New York, and the Vaudevillains, they're kind of like representing characters from a black and white film from the 1920s or the 1930s, whatever decade, from the old era. Anyway, so the match sucked. Here's the reason why this match sucked. It's not like the wrestling itself. They wrestled a fine match. It was the shortest match of the show. It went about 3 minutes long. But here's the reason why this match sucked. One more of the match. Aiden. The Vaudevillains are Simon Gotch and Aiden English. Anyway, so one more of the match. Aiden English hit Enzo with a double knees. Tagged in Simon Gotch. Simon Gotch is about to throw Enzo Amore out of the top rope. By the way, Enzo Cass is Enzo Amore and just Big Cass. I think he was formerly known as Colin Cassidy. Right now he's Big Bill Morrissey in Impact Wrestling, and now he's in AEW, part of the firm. Anyway, so back to this match. So Gotch is about to throw Enzo off over the top rope. Unfortunately, Enzo hits his kind of whiplash onto the middle and bottom rope and fall down awkwardly. And the referee basically trying to check up onto Enzo. And basically the Vaudevillains won this match by a non-contest. They went on to face the New Day. They are the number contenders for the New Day at Extreme Rules. And at the time, it was really it was scary moment to see Enzo. He kind of hits his. I think he kind of like collide between the middle and bottom rope. That was a bit scary. The announcers brought the update of Enzo throughout the whole show. I'm glad he's okay, even though Enzo later on in his career he ended up becoming an asshole. I don't want to talk about in this video. So, but at the time, it's just like, yeah, it's a shame. I think it kind of lost a bit of the momentum of Enzo and Cass. Like later on in the year, they end up losing, and people getting sick of Enzo's shtick. It's a shame that in NXT in the early months of their run in the main roster, Enzo and Cass was white hot, and then this match, and it's kind of karma. I don't know if they got punished. Anyway, so as for the Vaudevillains, they went on to lose the tag team title match against the New Day at Extreme Rules 3 weeks later, and then afterwards, they didn't do nothing with the Vaudevillains. It's a shame for the Vaudevillains. They end up like last throughout the rest of 2016 and into the spring of 2017. Didn't do nothing until the group was disbanded because reality Simon Gotch got released because I think he got into like an altercation fight with Sin Cara. And that's another story for another time. And also, I think he hate Enzo Amore in real life. He did like a shoot interview. This was after he got released from WWE. And you can find it on YouTube. So, anyway, it was like I said, not a bad match because of the wrestling. It was just a bad match because Enzo got hurt. So, it didn't meant to be happening. It's just what it is. So. Let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is a personal rivalry. We've got Sami Zayn taking on Kevin Owens. It started in late 2014 at NXT TakeOver. I think it's Our Evolution, when you had Kevin Owens make his debut on WWE. Defeat I think he defeat CJ Parker on that show. Also on that same night, you had Sami Zayn winning the NXT title. You had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn hugged it out, and suddenly Kevin turned on Sami, attacked him. Then at the next NXT show I think it was in February, Kevin Owens won the NXT title from Sami Zayn. Actually, it's their revived rivalry because they feud outside of WWE and ROH. Kevin Owens was Kevin Steen, Sami Zayn was El Generico. So they made each other like on a wrestling show in Canada. Then they wrestle like in the indie scene before and ROH before get to the WWE. Anyway, so like I said, so Kevin won the NXT title from Sami in February's TakeOver show. Then in May they had the rematch. Unfortunately, that ended in a non-contest because Sami Zayn got hurt. Then Sami Zayn came back, made his main roster debut at the Royal Rumble in January. Eliminate Kevin Owens. They fought in the ladder match for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania the previous month. So this is a personal rivalry between Kevin and Sami. Since they met, and Kevin was pissed off at Sami because Sami was the first guy signed with WWE before him. Because Sami Zayn was signed with the company in 2013, Owens in 2014. Anyway, let's talk about this match. So the match was good. I really enjoyed this match. Like they were chanting, "Let's go Sami, let's go Owens," or "Let's go." I think it's called "Let's go Kevin, let's go Sami." The fans really get behind both Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. It was a really good match. Like Kevin kicked out not one but two Blue Thunder Powerbomb. Was it Blue Thunder Powerbomb? No, Blue Thunder. Yeah, Blue Thunder Powerbomb. It's Sami Zayn's move. It's called. Anyway, so they were fighting on the ring. They did like the punches on the ring apron. Really, Sami did his typical, that like dive through the ring post. Anyway, he hit like that plunge. He hit that plunger. That was early parts of the match. I don't think Sami hit the Havuna kick. I don't think he hit. No, I don't think he hits it. The Havuna kick. Anyway, I'm trying to keep it short and simple, folks. In the end, Kevin Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb to win this match. I never knew they fought on the show. Yeah, they went on to fight. They had that blow off of that rivalry at Battleground a few months later to end the rivalry. They end up in 2017 they had that brief rivalry, and then they end up forming as a tag team. Well, 2017, 2018, 2019. Then a feud again in 2021 at WrestleMania 37 that revolved around Logan Paul. It's funny in a current timeline they just now are the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. It's like things can change in 2016 to 2023. So, anyway, it was a really good match. It was a good follow-up from the opener. They told a good story. Afterwards, Kevin Owens forced Baron Saxton to do a interview with him, and then Saxton interviewed Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens says this is the end of the rivalry between him and Sami Zayn. He wants to reclaim the Intercontinental Championship. And then he's going to be the commentator of the next match. And speaking of the next match, we got the Intercontinental Championship match. So we got The Miz with Maurice in his corner, defending the Intercontinental Championship against Cesaro. So here's a good, you could say, I don't really call it a funny story. Yeah, actually, it was a funny story. So at WrestleMania 32, Zack Ryder won the ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Then on the next night on Raw, Ryder dropped the belt to The Miz. That was the return of Maurice. Cesaro defeat Kevin Owens to get a shot at The Miz for the title at the pay-per-view. And this is Cesaro's first pay-per-view match, since coming back from an injury. The end of 2015, he suffered a shoulder injury. He came out at this moment in time. He came out, with the James Bond entrance. That was really good for Cesaro. I like the James Bond entrance. He's wearing the tuxedo as like James Bond, and so he strips it off and wearing his ring attire. I kind of like it before he ended up part of the bar. Anyway, so this match was decent. I really enjoyed this match. Kevin was on commentary. I thought this is gonna be one-sided, whole bulk of the match, Cesaro got most of the offense. No, it was a good match. I think Cesaro carried the Miz to a passable, good match. This is Miz's, I think it's his third reign. Yeah, his third reign as the Intercontinental Champion. He hadn't been IC Champion for almost 2 years. I think it was in 2014. Anyway, this was the start of Miz. I'll get more of the Miz later on, or shortly. Besides that, it was a good match. Maurice interfered one time. I thought this is going to be a lot of interference by Maurice, but it wasn't. So anyway, one more of the match. I think Cesaro was going for the I think he was going for the swing, but Miz counted into, I think it was a DDT. I can't really remember. He hit Miz with the corkscrew. I think it was a corkscrew. Corkscrew uppercut. I'm trying to remember it, folks. So anyway, in the end, Cesaro locked in the crossface onto the Miz. The referee did not see it because he had this brawl. Brawling between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They end up brawling. Then the match, Cesaro kind of knocked off both Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Then in the end, Miz rolled up Cesaro for the win. It's very funny. Miz didn't really hit the skull crusher finale onto Cesaro. He just basically rolled him up for the roll up for the win. And then afterwards, I think it was Kevin Owens trying to hit Cesaro attacked the Miz, him with the clothesline, the uppercut. My apologies. I'm trying to remember it, folks. But anyway, he hit Miz with the uppercut, bring him back in the ring. He's about to hit I think he's trying to hit the neutralizer onto the Miz, but Kevin Owens attacked Cesaro, trying to hit Miz with, I think he hit him with the pop-up powerbomb. Hit Sami Zayn with the pop-up powerbomb afterwards, but he's trying to hit Miz with the same move, but Maurice pulled him out. Then he hold the Intercontinental title up in the air. This has set up a fatal four-way match at Extreme Rules 3 weeks later. The Miz, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. Miz went on to retain it. And really funny. I think at the time people just do not like The Miz as the IC champion, but later on in the year, going into his feud with John Cena, The Miz starting to really gain some momentum. I think first time since winning the WWE Championship, in 2011. I think in the last few years, Miz has been a victim of bad booking. It's not, I like or hate The Miz. I think Miz is an okay wrestler. I think he did put Prestige back into the Intercontinental title belt. I think ever since Cody lost the IC title, I think the title for the last 2, 3, 4 years, it lost its procedures. My apologies. I think the one person also brought the Prestige back in the title is Gunther in our current timeline. So, I think Miz's title reigns as the WWE and IC championship was very underrated. That's more I can say. So anyway, let's move on to the next match. So this is a good. This was a good follow up. Anyway, I'm trying to remember the match. Anyway, you had Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose. What the fuck I'm saying? So the next match was Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose. So yeah, there were six matches on the main roster, on the main card. So anyway, so the next match, like I said, is Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. This happens on an episode of Raw when Jericho do his traditional talk show, the highlight reel. Ambrose kind of hijack, Jericho's reality talk show. You call it the Ambrose Asylum. That was the start of the this rivalry. And I think then Ambrose's match against Kevin Owens, Jericho cost Ambrose his match against Kevin Owens. And then I think on the build up to this, they were fighting. Jericho locked in the walls of Jericho onto Dean Ambrose onto the announce table to set up to further up this rivalry going into this match on the pay-per-view. This match was good. I really like this match. I think both Jericho and right now he's future John Moxley in AEW. Anyway, Jericho and Ambrose, they really had some good chemistry. Like Ambrose, I think Ambrose, one more of the match, actually some moments of the match, Jericho was slapping Dean Ambrose about, and then also Ambrose kind of did Jericho's pose, like he plays the pin, he basically plays his foot on Jericho's chest, did the most muscular. That was kind of good, even though like a bit goofy, because even though Ambrose is not that muscular, he's a bit scrawny. Anyway, so I think one more of the match, Ambrose was going for his traditional like lariat clothesline, but instead Jericho countered it. I think one more of the match, Jericho, I think it's this match. I might be wrong. One did like going for the small package. I think it was this match. Jericho was going for like a Walls of Jericho. It was going for the Walls of Jericho. Ambrose counted into a small package. I think I might be wrong about this. Might be the Miz and Cesaro match, or I think it was Miz and Cesaro. I might be wrong, but anyway, that was a good. That was good. Anyway, I think one more. Jericho's nose was busted open. Like one more of the match. I think it has to do with Ambrose's punches. Like, and before that, Ambrose did the suicide dive. And he kind of did the suicide dive on Jericho. My apologies, onto Chris Jericho, and I think he kind of hit his head onto the announce table. He was okay. He wasn't like knocked out. Anyway, so I think Ambrose countered the lion salt. The lion moonsault onto Jericho, and then he hit Jericho with the dirty deeds. But yeah, before that, I think Jericho hit his typical springboard diving drop kick, onto Ambrose. If you watch it, he hits like his opponent like he's lying on the top rope, and then Jericho did his trademark, springboard diving drop kick, Anyway, so like I said, Ambrose won this match, and it's not the end of the rivalry. So this lasted until 3 weeks later at Extreme Rules, because it cranked up again, it cranked up like 10%. Like you had Jericho destroyed and killed Ambrose's plant pot Mitch. Jericho really tears Jericho's his lighten up jacket. Then they had that infamous Ambrose Asylum match at Extreme Rules 3 weeks later. Ambrose won, and that was the end of the rivalry. They fight. I think they fight again. Yeah, they teamed up at that Survivor Series match in November against Team SmackDown. But then the next time they truly fight one-on-one will be years later in AEW when Jericho was the AEW World Champion. And then I think last year they fought in the Blood and Guts match between the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club. So anyway, I think it's one of the best, or actually I say it's the second or third best match of the night. You know, I don't think this rivalry with Jericho and Ambrose hurt Jericho, because Jericho went on to have a good year. You know, he ended up growing facial. He didn't grow a beard. He grew like facial hair. He ended up like calling his opponents, stupid idiots. He did his catchphrase like "drink it in, man," and he did the list. That was peak Jericho, best Jericho since the serious Y2J, best in the world Chris Jericho in 2008, 2009, 2010. Anyway, so let's move on to the next match. So the next match. This is the third or fourth championship matches on the show, and this is for the WWE Women's Championship, the future Raw Women's Championship, by the way. Charlotte Flair, at this moment in time, she was not really called Charlotte Flair, but it's just Charlotte, but for this video, I'm just going to call her Charlotte Flair. Anyway, Charlotte Flair with her dad in her corner, defending the WWE Women's Championship against Natalya, with Bret Hart, that's Natalya's niece, by the way, in the corner of Natalya. So, this is their first rivalry for years. They fought at NXT TakeOver in 2014 for the NXT Women's Championship. Then they fought months later, or two years later, at the Roadblock show. That was a special event on the WWE Network. The build up to this, it was on Raw when they had the match, Charlotte and Natalya for the WWE Women's Championship. It ended with Ric Flair got involved, pulled I think Natalya out of the ring. So anyway, they brought in Bret Hart. The announcers that a few months ago Bret Hart battles prostate cancer. Glad he beat it. Anyway, it was a waste of a Bret Hart pay-per-view appearance. This was Bret's, I think it's his first pay-per-view appearances in years. Anyway, it was a waste of a Bret Hart pay-per-view appearance. He's just kind of there to manage Natalya. In the end, both Natalya and Bret did the sharpshooter. Anyway, the match was okay. I thought this was gonna be a clusterfuck. But no, I think it was a decent, good match. Some bulks of the match. You had Charlotte worked on the leg of Natalya. Natalya kicked out the national selection. Anyway, so the ending was a bit bullshit. And also, there was no interference of Ric Flair. I didn't see no interference of Ric Flair of this match. That's kind of like strange. I thought this was gonna be bogged down with interference by Flair. Glad not. The ending was still bullshit. I think what about the match? Natalya locked in the arm bar onto Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte locked in the. I think Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte locked in the figure four leg lock. I think Charlotte Natalya counted it, but I don't think Charlotte locked in the submission hold. Anyway, so here's the ending of this. So Charlotte locked in the sharpshooter on Natalya. Charles Robinson did the basically they did the reenactment of the Montreal Screwjob. Anyway, so Charles Robinson called for the bell. Charlotte won this match, retained the Women's Championship. By the way, I forgot to mention this. Charlotte, this is her first reign as the Women's Champion because she won the belt in a triple threat match at WrestleMania 32 against her fellow horsewomen, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. Sasha did appear on the show. Anyway, so that was a little bullshit because I'm sick of they doing that. It's been 19 years. Give it a rest. So, and afterwards, Bret and Natalya locked in the sharpshooter on both Ric Flair and Charlotte, and that was it. So, besides that, is it a bad match? No. Is it a great match? No. It was a good match. It's not gonna be like a 4-star classic. It was just decent for what it is. It's kind of there. I think this is the one of the weakest matches on the main show. By the way, this is set up a submission match at Extreme Rules. 3 weeks later, that Charlotte won, and that was introduction of Dana Brooke. That was a waste of time. Dana Brooke is Charlotte's like henchwoman. It didn't mean anything. I don't want to get into it. So yeah, that, like I said, waste of a Bret Hart pay-per-view appearance. Why he's there? It's not about Charlotte and Natalia. It's just basically just Bret Hart and Ric Flair. Going back to their rivalry. Bret defeat Ric Flair in Bret's home country of Canada to win his first WWF Championship in 1992. Yeah, therefore in WCW, that Bret's first WCW match was Ric Flair at Sold Out 98. So everyone knows, if you don't know, Bret Hart and Ric Flair hate each other in real life because Ric Flair took shit towards Bret because he is not a draw in America. He's only a draw in Canada and internationally. I said it in my review of Sold Out 1998. Go and check it out. I'm not going to talk about it again in my review of Payback 2016. Anyway, let's move on to the next match. So let's recap before we get to the main event. So yeah. The opener, you had, Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass. You had Kevin versus Sammy. You had Miz versus Cesaro. Jericho versus Ambrose. Charlotte versus Natalia. Yeah, we got the main event, folks. So the main event, this is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Roman Reigns defending the belt against the phenomenal AJ Styles. So this is Roman's in the middle of his third reign as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Defeat Triple H at WrestleMania 32 the previous month. AJ, this is his first world title match in WWE since he debuted at the Royal Rumble early that year. The fans they're cheering for AJ, but they were booing Roman Reigns out of the building. They were chanting, I think they chanted just Roman sucks, you can't wrestle, and they're chanting Roman sucks. Man sucks. The same tempo as the New Day chants, the New Day Rocks chants. So it's the vibes of John Cena, CM Punk, Money in the Bank 2011, and also John Cena, RVD, 1X10 06. They were, they're cheering for RVD, booing Cena. Similar Money in the Bank 2011, cheering for CM Punk, the hometown boy, booing Cena. In this match, cheering for AJ, booing for Roman Reigns. You can tell, this is the hype of the super hyper Roman, phase. I'm trying to describe it. The people really get behind Roman Reigns. Also they trying to use still sucks. Roman. He was dubbed as John Cena 2.0, shoved down people's throats. Right now in the current timeline, Roman is super over now because of the Tribal Chief, the Bloodline. The fans doing the one chants. Anyway, that was right now in 2023. Fast forward, going back to 2016. My apologies. The fans really despise Roman Reigns. I think it's the Superman gimmick. It's stupid. People are not buying into it. People just want to see Roman as a heel. I'm glad we got that years later. Anyway, so they don't really need to do anything more. They got the fans in the palm of their hands. I feel like one more of the match, it had some like bullshit finishes, in this main event match. First off, here's the first bullshit, ending. So anyway, AJ hit the phenomenal forearm onto Roman Reigns through the announce table, and AJ's trying to put Roman back in the ring. He couldn't lift him. AJ's a normal medium-sized man. AJ's 5'11", Roman's 6'3". Was it 6'2", 6'3"? He didn't really pick him up. He can't really lift him. So AJ managed to get back in the ring. Roman did not. The match ended in a count out. AJ won this match, but not won the title because the title do not change hands via a disqualification and a count out. So out comes Shane McMahon. Shane basically says, it might happen in the old era, but not in the new era. So he restarted the match. So the match restarted. This is one good moment of this match. So AJ was going to hit the phenomenal forearm again against Roman, and Roman at the same time hit the Superman punch. That was good, you know. AJ managed to kick out from the Superman punch attempt by Roman Reigns. Then I think he was going for like a 450 splash. I think he did the 450 splash. He did the springboard 450 splash on the top rope, but I think Roman kicked out. That was one moment of the match. But anyway, so he's going for like a move off the top rope. Roman hit AJ in the gut. That's basically a low blow. Even though he didn't really punch, he didn't like punch AJ in the balls. He kind of punched him in the gut area. So the match ended in disqualification. That AJ won again. Out comes Stephanie McMahon, and she restarted the match again, saying this match is gonna be a no DQ match. So this is similar shades of SummerSlam 2009 in the match against Randy Orton and John Cena. Anyway, so out comes Gallows and Anderson. This is their first pay-per-view appearance. This is Gallows' first pay-per-view appearance back in the company. He was in the company for years. He was like since the Straight Edge Society days. That was like 2009, 2010. You know, he spent time in TNA and part of the Aces and Eights, and also New Japan, part of the Bullet Club. Carl Anderson, I don't think he was in WWE before he ended up like signed with the company in 2016. So anyway, so they're not really officially the club yet. They're just Gallows and Anderson. They attacked Roman Reigns. They didn't hit the trademark finisher. That is the Magic Killer. I think the announcers call it the Bulletproof. It's called. But anyway, so out comes Roman's cousins, future Bloodline members, the Usos. They end up I think they were feuding with the Usos at the time. Anyway, so the match, I think Roman did like a splash, his dive off the top rope onto the Usos and Gallows and Anderson. AJ did once again another phenomenal forearm, this time off the barricade onto Roman Reigns. Anyway, so in the end, he was going for another phenomenal forearm, but instead Roman got away, hit the spear to win this match, and retained the WWE Championship. So, and afterwards, to end the show, you had the McMahons, Vince, Shane, and Stephanie announce that AJ will get a rematch at Extreme Rules against Roman Reigns in an Extreme Rules match. So, and I think at this moment in time, AJ was leaning tweener. He's not really officially aligned himself with Gallows and Anderson, and then like I said, AJ went on to lose the rematch against Roman Reigns 3 weeks later at Extreme Rules. And then the Raw after Extreme Rules, you had this first collab between him and John Cena. You had this confrontation between Gallows and Anderson, Cena and AJ, but instead you thought, this is leading up to a tag team match, Gallows and Anderson versus John Cena and AJ Styles, but no, swerve. AJ turned heel, attacked John Cena. This is the start of the John Cena AJ Styles feud that lasted until SummerSlam, or really at No Mercy 2016, the SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view in October. That lasted until Royal Rumble 2017 of the John Cena AJ Styles rivalry that lasted. It started at Money in the Bank 2016 to Royal Rumble 2017. So, also Roman, like I said, he ended up dropping the title. I forgot to mention this. Kalisto ended up dropping the belt to Rusev next month at Extreme Rules. I forgot to mention that when I talk about Kalisto's match against Ryback. I forgot to mention that. So anyway, also Roman, like I said, after he retained the WWE title against AJ Styles, he had the return of Seth Rollins. Then Roman dropped the belt to Seth Rollins, and then Rollins dropped the belt to Dean Ambrose after Dean Ambrose won the 2016 Money in the Bank ladder match. And then Roman got suspended because of Vicky violated the Wiltshire policy, did the Shield triple threat match at Battleground, and then they broke off. And then they kind of reunited briefly in that Survivor Series match in November, Team Raw, Team SmackDown, when former members of the Shield hit AJ Styles with the triple powerbomb. It was teasing that the Shield will be reunited. They reunited the following year. That's another story for another time. Anyway, so my final overall rating of WWE PayBack 2016. Overall, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I've seen some pay-per-views at the time in 2016, but hard to say. I don't call it the best pay-per-view of 2016. It's one of the best shows of 2016. because in the spring and early summer of 2016, you could tell they had a good, really, WWE in 2016 had a good summer. The pay-per-view was on point, consistency, putting on some good shows. Anyway, this show, yeah, some good to great matches. The only thing in the bad for me has to be the segment between Vince, Shane, and Stephanie. Corbin versus Dolph was meh. The opener on the main show, Vaudevillains, Enzo and Cass, that was just bad because of Enzo's injury. The only thing in the okay has to be Ryback, Kalisto for the United States title in the pre-show. That was basically just, that was not nothing important. That was known for Ryback's final match in the company. But the good is the good. I really enjoy it. And also in the Charlotte and Natalia match, that ended with the reenactment of the Montreal Screwjob. That was just not necessary. They had many ways to have Charlotte get heat. You don't need to do a reenactment of a shoot angle from almost 19 years ago. Anyway, besides that, the good is the good. There was good to great matches. Like, the match of the night for me has to be Roman AJ, despite of the overbooking, count out disqualifications, but restarts. But I like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. I like that Battleground match. A few months later, that was also good. I like, I still like this Charlotte Natalia match despite of the finish. I like Ambrose versus Chris Jericho, Miz and Cesaro for the Intercontinental title. Even though like some matches on the show should set up the for the next matches at the next pay-per-view. It's just what it is in professional wrestling. I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, I give it 8 out of 10, or I'll give it 8.5 out of 10. I think it's one of the strongest shows of WWE in 2016, way better than WrestleMania 32. So anyway, hope you enjoyed my review of Payback 2016. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button, click the like, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Watch your thoughts of Payback 2016. And subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. Next time on the classic WWE pay-per-view review series, this is going to be a wild card, another Fulton poll I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you on this video. You have to wait it'll be later on in the week. I'm going to did the Fulton poll. The next classic WWE pay-per-view review will be, it won't be next week, folks. I'm out, so it'll probably be the week after, or maybe before I go. I'm going to like a wrestling event. It might not be like this Friday. It probably be next week or the week after. So anyway, so you have to wait until find out what's the next classic WWE pay-per-view you want me to review. Until then, this is Essential Man